My partner lies to me, and I cannot get them to stop. What in the world do I do? I've never met a single person who enjoyed being deceived. We can use all sorts of tools for our relationships to make them better, get more of what you want, get repair. But if the tools we use themselves could all be bullshit, that is really toxic to your relationship. Lying destroys intimacy. One of you watching this YouTube channel suggested that I speak about lying and how to deal with a partner who lies. This is actually not an uncommon dilemma or question, so I'm glad it's come up and I want to talk about it. Lying. Well, first of all, no one's perfect, and most of us do lie a little. You cannot lie at all, zero, if you have a history of a lying problem in your relationship. If you've been an addict, if you've been unfaithful and deceiving your partner. So if there's a history of traumatizing, injurious deceit in your relationship, then it may well be part of your recovery that lying is off the table altogether, even the tiniest white lie. But if you're a sex addict, if you're been irresponsible financially, if you have a history of deceit in your relationship, or if you have a history of deceit in your own personality, it may be part of your health and recovery that there's zero tolerance for even the tiniest bit of deceit. But that's a particular group. For most of us, lying is a spectrum. And we're not perfect. We all do that. You know, why were you late? Well, somebody stopped me on the way home and talked to me. Yeah, no, I was doom scrolling, but so, human, what can I say? Pretty harmless. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about either of those extremes. Either the good extreme of I just have little teeny tiny, white lies, harmless, but maybe even protective of others. So that's one extreme. Or the extreme of I'm a sex addict. I had a double life and I lied to my partner and my kids for 20 years. And I'm going to SLAA meetings 3 times a week, and I have a sponsor, and that's part of my bottom line, that I don't lie about anything ever. In my own recovery, not from a particular addiction, but what I call relational recovery, in my own movement toward trying to live a healthy relational life, I don't lie, and I used to. It's actually quite peaceful being in a state of congruence and integrity. There are basically two big ways that people lie. You lie to protect yourself or enhance yourself. I told you that my new book advance was X number of dollars. It was really half that, but I'm lying for self-aggrandizement. We all know people who do that, exaggerate. I exaggerate to the point of, oh man, I don't know, because I don't feel heard, and I'm intensifying what I'm doing to try and get through to you, either by exaggerating the facts to a point where they may be virtually unrecognizable. But we also intensify by speaking more loudly, speaking more quickly, speaking with more force. But exaggerating the facts may be part of all that. A lot of us learned to lie as part of our adaptive child strategies because we lived in families where if we told the truth, it would not go well for us. And, this is a subset of the difference between trying to live your adult life out of your present prefrontal cortex, we call it the wise adult part of you, here and now, versus living your life out of what you learned to do to manage and protect yourself as a child, what we call the adaptive child part of you. So we lie to cover our ass. We lie to stay out of trouble. We lie to get our way. We lie to manage. It's basically manipulation to protect ourselves from getting into trouble and or getting what we want. And we learned it as kids. We either saw it modeled. Remember, the adaptive child is either reaction to what you had to live with or taking in and identifying with what you lived with, or both. So we either lived in a family where lying was modeled for us, or we lived in a family where we had to lie to protect ourselves and our autonomy. It's part of the adaptive child. And many of you have heard me say this. I have a saying, adaptive then, maladaptive now. Yeah, the pumpernickel story. Couple on the brink of divorce comes to me. Why? He's a chronic liar. And the wife says, tell him he's got nice shoes on, and he'll tell you the nice shoes are sneakers. But it's clear. He'll lie about anything. You tell him, I like your black shirt, he'll say it's white. You can't get a straight story out of him. And as a therapist, he's one of these guys, you walk in the room and you go, the sky's blue. And he goes, well, it's kind of gray. He won't give it to you. So, I'm adept at getting this. What's the person's stance? What are they doing? This guy has a black belt in evasion, right? Lie, evade. Who was he trying to evade? So who tried to control you growing up? Sure enough, dad, military man, how he sat, how he ate, who he had friends with. How did you deal with this controlling father? He smiles. I lied. All RLT therapists have great respect for the intelligence of the way you adapted as a kid. Adaptive then, maladaptive now. Your wife is not your big controlling father, and you're not that 5-year-old boy. Maybe it's time for a new trick. They come back, true story. They were on the brink of divorce, and now they come back arm in arm. Happy as can be, were cured, and they were. I said, okay, there's a tale here, the pumpernickel. Over the weekend, she sends him to the grocery store to get 12 things. True to form, he comes back with 11. Where's the pumpernickel? He said, I want you to feel this. My wife, Belinda, calls this a moment of relational heroism. He says every muscle and nerve in his body was screaming to cover his ass and say they were out of the pumpernickel, which was not true. In this moment, I thought of you, Terry. He borrowed my prefrontal cortex. I looked at my wife and I said, I forgot the goddamn pumpernickel. And, true story, she burst into tears and said, I've been waiting for this moment for 25 years. Coming out of that knee-jerk response into choice and intention, out of our lower neurology into our prefrontal cortex. That's the way out of this mess. That's recovery. You lied because it was in your interest to lie as a little one. You're not little anymore. 2, you lie to manage your partner. How many of us do that? Oh, that dress only cost $50. It didn't cost $150. Go hide the bill. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, I'm upset with ... but I don't think I'm going to tell her. I don't want to set her off. That's management. That's not a relationship. It is the essence of the traditional female role in patriarchy. You upregulate your husband. You don't expect them to be able to handle themselves. You have to manage the disowned fragility that they're not dealing with. That's your job as a wife, or if you're in a varied relationship, role reverse relationship. It's your job, if you're the one down, boundaryless, anxious pursuer who is trying to not set off your volatile family member. This is called codependence. This is enabling, and it's a lie. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're lying. People say, how could this person have an affair and lie to me? And yet either that person or both of you have been omitting things, distorting things. You've been managing each other rather than taking each other on and being honest with each other, often for years, decades. How could he lie? I'm sorry to say, He's been saying yes when he means no for 20 years. This isn't the only lie. This is the lie that has caused so much pain. Listen, under patriarchy, we don't tell the truth to each other. We manage each other. We upregulate each other. We bully if we're the one-up one, or we avoid, walk around on eggshells, don't set the other one off if we're the controlling, accommodating one. This is not a good dynamic. There's a lot of resentment to not telling the truth. Passion dies, generosity dies, the relationship dries up. Look your partner in the eye, and with skill and love, dare to tell the truth. It's a frightening revolution. Now, if your partner is going to blow up at you, certainly physically don't do it, but even emotionally, you may need help. You may need a therapist who will take your side and help your partner handle your truth, not the truth. You're not God's expert, but you are expert on yourself. How many of us withhold telling the truth of what we're experiencing and what we wish from each other for fear of our partner's immature response? Let the bad thing happen. With skill, with love, learn how to do it. Stop living a lie every day. Bracing, courageous, challenging, perhaps upsetting. But I'm here to tell you, living in a state of congruence and integrity is a much more peaceful way of living than feeling something and saying something quite different. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in more, subscribe by hitting the button below, and I hope to see you again. Be well.